Welcome back. In this video, I'm going over which tax software will give me a bigger refund. TurboTax, TaxAct, or my favorite, Free Tax USA, because it's actually free. In this video, I'll be breaking down this common question, this common situation where you update two softwares to compare your tax refund or payment due, and to your shock and surprise, they are different amounts. Should you just take the bigger one and be done with it? No, you shouldn't. In this video, I'm going to break down exactly what to do and how to use two softwares, or if you hire a pro, and update Free Tax USA or TurboTax or any software you like, how you can use that process to compare, learn about your taxes, and be sure you're getting all of the tax write-offs you deserve. If you're new here, my name's Amanda. You're watching The Business Finance Coach, where I simplify all the technicalities of business and money to help you succeed, because I believe the world needs your business and you shouldn't be overwhelmed or held back by these technicalities of our civilized society. So if that sounds like something you'd like to have in your life, consider subscribing. Now let's jump into which tax software will get me a bigger refund and what to do about it. So which tax software gives me a bigger refund? While this is a common question, it's not really a correct question to ask. All of these solutions, hiring someone, DIY tax software, they are just completing the tax return, your personal Form 1040. And if you've filled out the Form 1040 correctly, you should have the same amount of a refund or taxes due, regardless of which software you use or who you hire to do your taxes. If you're getting a different amount of a refund between softwares or professionals, then three things might have happened. One, you answered a question in one software that you didn't answer in another software. Or you entered a tax form or an amount in one software that you didn't enter in another software. Or number two, you answered a question differently in one versus the other. So maybe in this case, you did answer the same question in both softwares, but you answered it differently. So you got a different result on your tax form. And the third reason is common. You might have made a mistake when you entered an amount. So you inverse a number in one software and you entered it correctly in the other software. And when you see the amount, you actually see the correct amount because the number's so similar, you just inversed a number. Like I said in number two, however, if you answer questions differently, that can result in a different amount being calculated on your return, even if you entered the correct amounts to begin with. So it's certainly not a bad thing to consider which software is giving you a bigger refund or a lower payment due for taxes. In fact, it's a great way to double check your return. With online tax prep softwares like TurboTax, TaxAct, Free Tax USA, you only pay when you file the return. So that's great because you're able to create an account, enter all of your information, and get all the way to the end before you file to actually be required to pay. So this means that you can easily update two softwares to compare them, or update a software and hire someone and be able to compare the results. And it's just a great way to make sure, number one, you aren't missing out on any deductions. Number two, to double check, make sure that you didn't make a mistake entering amounts or answering questions. Three, it's just a way to be more confident and really know and understand your tax return, because once you have two softwares giving you the same amount and you've compared your returns line by line, you're in a much better place to know that you've gotten everything you deserve and you understand the form, and you know you're not missing out on any write-offs or paying too much taxes. So what do you do if you end up with different amounts? Let's say that you've updated TurboTax, the most expensive DIY tax software, and Free Tax USA, the cheapest one that's actually free for federal, which I recommend, and I have step-by-step videos showing you how to use that software. Let's say you update two and your refund is different in either software. What you can do in each of these softwares is preview your tax return. Now, some softwares make it a little tricky to figure out how to preview your tax return, so I'm going to show you exactly how to do that last in this video. A software like Free Tax USA, they don't make it hard for you to preview your tax return because they're free. So someone like TurboTax cares about you, being able to get that information easily because they want you to pay them a lot of money. TurboTax is $1 billion company, and they make a lot of money off us needing to file taxes. So it's certainly easier to review your 1040 personal tax form in Free Tax USA than TurboTax, but I'm going to show you how to approach it in any software and exactly how to find the tax form. Number two is we need to go line by line down the form 1040 and compare our information from one to the other. When we find a section where a question is entered differently, an amount is different, anything is different, that's where we go back into the software and we find where we entered that information or answered those questions. Then we need to check the amounts we entered to make sure they're correct and the same in both software, make sure we know what they are, check for any typos, and then go through the questions that we answered, because sometimes amounts that we enter are then changed because of calculations that are based on the questions we answered about those amounts. So lastly, let's jump into TurboTax and Free Tax USA, and I'm going to show you how to preview your Form 1040 and compare for differences in your refund or payment due. Here we are in TurboTax, where I updated a tax return, and the same thing in Free Tax USA. Now I have other videos that show you how to do your return. Check out the description below for links. Now, I entered a single individual example where it's just me, Amanda, and some sample data. I have a W-2 and I have a dependent child. And you can see here in TurboTax, we have a current federal refund of $2,830. In Free Tax USA, we have a federal refund of $2,475. Now, why is TurboTax showing a bigger refund? That's what we need to figure out. Now, in Free Tax USA, it's actually quite simple to preview your tax return, and that's what we want to do to figure out where the difference is. In Free Tax USA, all we have to do is go to this summary tab, and this is our federal tax summary. These are all of our numbers for 2020 and 2019. I'm going to scroll down, and at the bottom here, you'll see it says View Federal Tax Return. So we can click View here, and we can see a preview of our tax return. Now in TurboTax, it's not that straightforward to find your Form 1040 because they tend to want you to pay to see that, but I'm going to show you where you find it. So you go on the left, this is their menu over here on the left, and we're going to go down to Tax Tools. And you can see it opens up these options, and we'll click Tools, and this gives us a pop-up window with some other convenient links. The first one under Other Helpful Links is View Tax Summary. So when I click this, now we can see a tax summary. If we look to the left, we can see back and preview my 1040. Now this isn't a PDF like in Free Tax USA, but it's the same information. It just looks a little bit different. So from here, we're just going to go line by line down through the return and compare our numbers in TurboTax to those in Free Tax USA. First, we have the personal information, so we could check that, but that's not going to affect our taxes. The next section is the presidential election. So we didn't check a box because we don't want to donate money. So let's go ahead and check our free tax PDF. On the tax return, here's our basic info. And to the right, you can see presidential election campaign, no box is checked. So that's good. Now, if we continue on, we can see our filing status. And down here, we have head of household checked. Head of household is advantageous. We have to have a qualifying person. So that's our dependent. If we look down below, I have child 1, a daughter who's under 17. If we flip back over to our Free Tax USA return, under filing status is actually at the top, and you can see single is checked, not head of household. So that's going to be where a big difference is coming from in our standard deduction. So if we check out our dependent daughter, we can see that she's checked here. Let's say you didn't catch that the filing status was single and that the filing status was head of household over here. We'll still get to see where that affects our amounts as we head further down the return. So let's keep going. So this first section, line 1, is where we have our W-2 of $40,000. If we go back over to our Free Tax USA return, you can see line 1, wages, salaries, and tips form W-2, $40,000. So that's looking good. Back in TurboTax, we'll continue down and you can see total income 40,000. And then we got to take the special charitable deductions of $300, which brought our adjusted gross income, an important subtotal on the tax return, to $39,700. So over here on line 11, 39,700. We're good so far. We're the same. Next is the standard or itemized deduction. So you can see for single, it's 12,400, and that's the amount we have here. But for head of household, this third bullet down on the left, it actually says 18,650. So if we come back to TurboTax and scroll down, we can see we have the 18,650. So that's where a big difference is coming from. It's not quite the full amount we're off, but it's pretty close. It's a big reason why we're off. So if we keep going down, we can see taxable income is 21,050. And taxable income, this last line 15 from Free Tax USA, our PDF, is 27,300. So we're a few thousand off because of that difference. And so then all of these other amounts, our total tax is going to be different, 2247. Over here, our total tax is $3,082. But let's make sure a few other numbers are right. On line 19, we see our child tax credit of $2,000. So if we scroll down over here, we have tax, and then we have child tax credit, line 19, $2,000. So that's looking good. That's the same. And if we keep going down, we can see federal income tax withheld from our W-2. So here's our W-2, $2,800. Over here, line 25, federal income tax withheld W-2, $2,080. So that was a typo. Our W-2 actually had $2,800 withheld, and we made a typo when we entered it and did 2080. Lastly, we have two more items. We qualified for the earned income credit because we had a child and made $40,000, and that amount was $277. So if we come over here, line 27, EIC, 277. So that's good. That's the same amount. And lastly, we had the recovery rebate credit of $1,200 that we didn't receive the second payment. So we get to get credit for it on our tax return. But look over here, we didn't get the recovery rebate credit in this return. So here we have three things to fix. Okay, we have the recovery credit, we have the W-2 withholding, and lastly, we have our filing status of head of household, which will change our standard deduction amount on line 12. So I'm going to show you how we fix some of this stuff. So in Free Tax USA, we're going to navigate back to the taxpayer information under the personal tab. You can see filing status right here. This is where we need to select head of household and save and continue. And in TurboTax, they asked us a bunch of questions. If we click the back button and go to My Info, this is where they're summarizing our My Info. We already answered all the questions, but we could click Edit under Head of Household to review those questions again if we needed to. Next, we need to edit our W-2. So we're going to go up under the Income tab and to Wages. You can see the little check mark indicates we entered something here. So we're going to go into Wages, and here we see our W-2 listed. We're going to click Edit. This is the basic information. And here's the amounts. This is box 2, federal income tax withheld. We can fix our typo by going 2,800 and then save and continue. So now we fixed the things we needed to fix in Free Tax USA. One thing we are missing is our recovery rebate credit of $1,200. So let's figure out where that is in TurboTax. So to do that, I'm going to click the Federal tab, and we have wages and income, deductions and credits, other tax situations. And this is under other tax situations. So we're going to scroll down and I'm going to say, let's keep going. And this is where they show it right at the start of the federal review. So you can see they asked us, is this what we received? 1,700 and then 1,200. And the answer is no, it's not. Down here, it asked us to enter the total first payment, 1,700, and enter the total second payment. Now, we didn't enter anything here, but if you see here, it says enter 0 if you didn't get a payment. And things like this can cause issues. So I'm going to say 0 and tab out of there. Then I'm going to click continue. And now you can see this upped our credit to $1,200. Now look at our federal refund, $4,030. If we go back to Free Tax USA, $4,030. And so that's an example of how you can check your return in 2 different softwares and then really feel confident that you are on track and you're correct. And then I'd recommend using the free one, which TurboTax for this situation is free as well. So whichever you prefer to use. So that's all for how do I get the biggest refund? Should I use TurboTax, Free Tax USA, Tax Act, hire a pro? I hope this video answered that question for you if you're struggling with this or wondering about it. If you have any questions, I'd love to hear from you down in the comments section below this video. Check out some of the other videos around me here that you might be interested in. If you are self-employed or have a small business, I give away a free business spreadsheet template to help you with your accounting, quarterly taxes, and end of year taxes, especially getting caught up. So check out the description box below this video for more details and resources and how to get that free template. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like so that YouTube knows. And if you know anyone who could use it, do share it with them. And don't forget, if you're new here, consider subscribing so that I'll see you in the next video. And when you subscribe, or if you already subscribed, you can go back to that subscribe button and be sure to click the bell if you want to be notified every time a new video is posted on my channel. That's all, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye.